All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. What's going on? Friday, July 25th, 8 a.m. on the dot. Cheers to you. Cheers to whatever you're drinking. Cheers to your coffee out there, your tea, some water, wherever the hell you get however you get your day started. All right, final show of the week. Looking forward to break some things down with everybody here. Looking forward to today's show. I got a feeling this one's going to fly by. We got a lot going on. Got a guest as well. So I think today's show is going to go pretty fast. If you got some comments you want to throw in there, feel free to throw some comments. Encourage everybody to be as involved in the show as much as you guys would like to be. Be mindful. Obviously, from a comment perspective, you guys know the style of the show, so always be mindful. Treat everybody with respect, the whole thing. Okay, so couple things here that I'll kind of get right out the gate. Give everyone a quick rundown in just a second. I know that today, it's kind of funny. I was looking at some of the topics that got some Laker-related stuff, got some NBA stuff, pretty similar theme to how we always do it. But only got a couple topics that I'd love to get, obviously certain people's opinion on or everybody's opinion on, and then we'll take it from there. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Quick rundown right here. Is this like the worst kept secret ever that Luka is going to sign an extension with the Lakers? It's the worst kept secret ever. I think a week from today is when he could officially sign it, but there's already reports out there that he's going to probably sign the 4-year max. So saw a couple reports out there. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Shaq chimed in a little bit on the Lakers, on their specific roster, and basically says Lakers need more. They need a shooter. They need a knockdown shooter, if not two. We'll get a little bit into his comments that he had on the podcast. I've been getting a lot of these. I've been getting a lot from some people out there. People have been asking me, should Marcus Smart start? So should he be in the starting lineup? If he was in the starting lineup, who would he start in place of? And I know there's a couple options there, so I figured we could use that as a topic as well. Guest today, I mentioned this yesterday, Mychal Thompson. Very, very nice of Mychal. Very gracious with his time. Will be joining the show. So him and I were texting a little bit yesterday and this morning. So he'll join the show about 8:15. I got a lot of things I want to talk to Mychal about. Mychal Thompson was also one of the biggest wrestling fans. So I'll get his opinion on Hulk Hogan, get his opinion of, obviously a lot of Laker topics, a lot of NBA topics. So I'm curious to get his opinion on a number of different things. Got a couple NBA stories, couple NBA rumors. What were some of the stories that I saw this morning that I was going to get into? Ben Simmons, Jonathan Kuminga, Josh Giddey, and then Shaq just demolishing Rudy Gobert. So those were a couple things. Quick little weekend preview, and then we'll call it a day. So thank you, everybody, for being here, being a part of the show. To be this close to August and still be getting the type of views that we're getting is it's all you guys. So I appreciate you guys still watching the show. Hopefully the content that I'm trying to deliver every single day is something of interest to you guys. So I appreciate you guys rolling up your sleeves with me and hanging out for at least an hour a day. Let's take a look at some of the comments, and then we can go from there. All right, Ocean Breeze comes in with, if an egg is broken by outside force, life ends. If broken by inside force, life begins. Great things always begin from the inside. Damn. This dude. I mean, Ocean Breeze. How is this man coming in with these quotes every single day? Phenomenal quote, brother. All right, let's see what we got here. Good morning, Sliwa and everyone. Good morning, my brother. Good morning. Nobody is, to be honest with you. For the most part, I never got any issues with the chat, but just, sometimes we gotta keep that in mind. Got to keep that in mind here. All right. Smokey was basically saying, Slee, hurry the hell up and get on this broadcast. All right, I'm in here. Ocean Breeze coming through in the clutch. Ocean Breeze, you're like giving Ocean Breeze the ball with about 3-4 seconds left. He's like, I got it. And just spots up and hit the jumper. Now, if he gets double teamed and he kicks it out to me, the clock's going to run out. I'm not even going to take a shot. All right, let's get things started here. I saw this as well. Kevin Love only basically wants to play at LA and New York. Isn't he old? To be honest with you, I thought Kevin Love, and no hate on Kevin Love. Kevin Love's had a phenomenal career. But damn, this man's been in the league for a a long time. Philippines in the house. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Appreciate you being a part of the show. All right, let's get the show started. Just one more quick one from Jason. The opportunity of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. You guys are badass. All right, let's get things started here. I don't know if you guys saw this article, and I saw it yesterday, but I guess I was a little bit confused by it. I'm like, wait a minute. I keep hearing everybody say, don't worry, Luka Doncic is going to be a Los Angeles Laker. It looks like he's going to be a Laker long-term. The question is really just going to come down to what kind of contract does he want to sign? And then we've heard some reports. I've heard Brian Windhorst in the past say, listen, this probably will not be right out the gate at August 2nd. This could very well leak into September, but that doesn't mean, he's concerned about the Lakers or anything like that. No, he's just set to report for his Slovenian national team for Eurobasket tournament, which starts on August 4th. So because of that, that it might get delayed a little bit. Then I'm reading something yesterday, and obviously I wanted to bring this up today. Listen, I think the main thing is this. Luka's going to sign with the Lakers. I think just the question now is it's semantics. Is he going to sign for 3 years or is he going to sign for 4 years? I guess that's the question. There is some advantages of him signing for 3 years. Then he can get that Supermax after. But let me read something here. According to Martin Pavnik of Sport Club, he'll sign his extension before he leaves on August 4th to go to play Eurobasket. So here's the quote here that I'm going to read. Although last season taught us that there is no sealed future in the NBA, even if the back of your jersey says Doncic, it still seems that Luka and the Lakers will announce a long-term journey together in just over a week. Already waiting for a new multi-year contract in California. He's expected to sign it on August 2nd. So now the reports are that, and then here's, by the way, his coach had a quote yesterday. I expect him to arrive after August 4th when he has completed all his obligations in the NBA. Well, what would that obligation be? Probably the 4-year, $229 million deal. So I think, the main thing that I'm taking from any of this, and this isn't breaking news, this is just to kind of indicate, and I've been talking about this over the last couple of weeks, really even with Deandre Ayton when he was signing with the Lakers. I think there's been a lot of indication that Luka's been thrown out there. New ownership gets announced. There's been a lot of indication out there that, guys, it's just a matter of time until Luka Doncic signs some type of an extension with the Lakers. And then if, you're a Laker fan out there, you could start really thinking about what the future is going to look like. You can start looking at life after LeBron James, and is it going to be LeBron's final year? Does he have a couple years left? I don't know, but what I do know is they have a absolute superstar that's ready to go whenever that happens, and I don't even think he's going to wait. I think it's already his team, and obviously he figures it out from there. So at least from some of the reporting here, I don't think we're going to have to watch Eurobasket 2025 and have to wait, if you're watching Luka or you're watching Jokic or you're watching Giannis or you're watching some of these other greats, probably the 3 best players in the NBA, top 4 right there. Throw Shea, of course, in that mix, and I'm sure I'm missing a player or so. But if you look at, once you start watching Eurobasket, I don't think it sounds like we're going to have to be sitting there saying, what's Luka going to do? Or is he going to sign after the date? Is it going to be in September that this leaks through or something along those lines? I think we're going to get that answer much sooner than later. So good news on the Laker front. And then for Luka, listen, you slot into that 4-year extension. That's some good stuff right there as well because of that. All right, I'll take a look at a couple of comments, and then I'm going to try to squeeze in a couple more topics here before Mychal comes, and then we can go from there. Let's see what people are saying. Luka's going to sign a 1+1. I don't think so. I really don't. I really think that this man is going to just let me go grab my money. And he's only 26 years old, which means he's going to get another unbelievable, ridiculous contract when he turns 30. So I think I got a feeling here. By the way, his endorsement money that he's going to get in LA, all that stuff that's going to come with it, kind of starting to get a little bit more of a feeling he's going to probably grab that max extension at the least. He'll grab 3 years. Luka going to make up the money with advertisements. No question about that. That ain't going to be an issue. Let me just, I'll say this, and I think we could all say this very comfortably. I think Luka's going to be okay. I think Luka's going to be okay. All right, let's keep rolling here into a couple different topics here before we get going. I wanted to mention here Shaq on one of the podcasts that he was on was complimenting the Lakers. You know, I'm looking forward to talk to Mychal to get his thoughts on Deandre Ayton, get his thoughts on Marcus Smart, get his thoughts on the Western Conference. You know, obviously everything going on from a Laker perspective. But Shaq, obviously former Laker, current Hall of Famer, was complimenting what the Lakers were able to do. But then he points out some areas that he feels like the Lakers got to be better. So here's what he said. He said they got a legitimate big now, got two premier players, obviously LeBron and Luka. I'm still worried about the shooting. It's a 3-point league now. So it goes on to say, not guys that can shoot. I'm talking about bona fide shooters, guys that are guaranteed, like JJ Redick. He was a bona fide shooter. I don't think anybody's telling you that, you know, obviously this roster is perfect. I don't think anybody's telling you that this roster is complete. But I think the Lakers, if I told you, what did you want them to address in the offseason? I think the first thing people are going to say, go get a big. I mean, can you go find somebody because of how glaring, how awful it was when the playoffs started and the Lakers just didn't have enough size. They didn't have any rebounding. They had to take care of that. Okay, and then, you know, another thing that I think was important for the Lakers, you need another defensive-minded player, especially because Dorian Finney-Smith left. They went out and addressed that with Marcus Smart. So, yes, I don't disagree that they can get better from a shooting perspective. I got no idea what Jake LaRavia is going to do for the Lakers. I got no idea what Dalton Connect's going to do for the Lakers. But you had to address those first two things, and they did. And now the question is going to be, how will they address everything else in the rest of the roster, and obviously the assets that the Lakers still have? So how are they going to use it? So I don't really disagree with Shaq. I completely understand where he's coming from. You know, this is also Shaq was talking about this, that he'd be very disappointed that the Lakers aren't top four. We were doing that last week or earlier in the week, whenever that was. So Shaq obviously has got high expectations for the Lakers. He should. It's Shaquille O'Neal. But at the same time, I think how the process has evolved, how they went from no big to DeAndre Ayton at age 26, no risk, to not enough defense or a primary ball defender to get Marcus Smart. Is there some risk there? Yes. Has he been injured? Yes. 31 years old. But I think Marcus Smart and DeAndre Ayton, obviously both critical years for them so that they can continue to be the type of players that they want to be in the NBA for years to come. And this is going to be their opportunity to do it for the Lakers. So I don't disagree with Shaq. I just think for me, there's a little bit that it will come in time, and let this thing just kind of naturally develop, and let Rob Pelinka from here kind of figure out what he's going to need to do in order to accommodate that. All right, I'm going to take a look at a few comments here, and we'll go from there. Before I do so, got to give a shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, injury attorneys. If you've been in a serious injury, a wrongful death case, somebody within your family is dealing with something, I can make an introduction to one of the best in the business, one of the best injury attorneys in the state of California, and Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. He could represent anybody in the state of California. I've mentioned this a couple different times. Just a great example. A couple months ago, he's taking care of one of his clients. They had a situation. It was, I won't get into too much of the weeds of it, but let's just say he was going up against some of the biggest corporations you could think of. $4.6 million jury verdict. It's not a fluke. This is what Brad Wallace and his firm does. We created a URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. You can click on the link in the description to get more information. When you go to that website, by the way, it's just a completely 100% free consultation where you can certainly fill out that information. Somebody will reach out to you, and I'm happy to make a personal introduction to Brad Wallace as well. I've known the guy for 5 years, and obviously he's a proud partner of the channel and proud Laker fan as well. You know, I'll throw that out there. So shout out to Brad Wallace and his team. Thank you for being a part of the show. Let's get a couple comments in here, and then we will we'll keep moving on some of the topics here. Let's see here. Let's see. All right. All I see is Rob did this obviously is to get scraps as always. We got buyouts, and we're gambling on unproven players, even though they are low risk, high reward, and we're going to make a legit run or two. Or no, I tell you this, I don't think anybody's looking at this roster as if it's complete, right? Like, I don't think anybody's looking at this roster and saying that that's it. This is the roster that the Lakers are going to have past the trade deadline, and all of a sudden the Lakers are going to go make unbelievable noise. But I still think it was a good offseason. I still think based on the circumstances, I still think based on being smart for the future, but also keeping in mind what the Lakers, some of the needs that they had. Again, I'm not telling you it's a perfect roster, but I don't have an issue with what the Lakers did this offseason. I really, really don't. All right. As promised, a man that's very kind with his time here. Very kind with his time here. Mychal Thompson joining the show. Good morning, Michael.
Hey.
How are you?
Doing well. It's a beautiful Friday, of course, so doing well.
So I can't tell anymore. I don't know if you're what happens in the off season for you? How much time are you here? How much time are you traveling the world? Where is Michael usually?
No, as little as possible happen. I don't travel the world. Why would I want to travel the world? You're right. People always ask me, or where you're going, what are you going to do, where you're traveling to. I hear people talk about their vacations and where they want to go, see this place, that place on vacation. And, and that's fine because I know people want to get away and see other things. But I've already seen the world because of basketball. My job entails traveling on jet planes, airports, everywhere, even though we travel by charter, private, and it's a lot more convenient and easier than
where do you put your jet? Where's your jet? Your jet specifically?
Well, I have some property next to my house, enough where I can have a landing strip there. So I just have a private, talk about a private airport. I have literally a private airport. So like, you ever seen John Travolta's house in Florida? He's got his jet, because John Travolta's a big-time pilot, big-time commercial pilot. He flies even huge jets, and he lives in this community where he can, they have a landing strip in the neighborhood, and he actually drives a huge jet right up to his house. That's so cool.
Who else? Isn't it like Harrison Ford? Isn't Harrison Ford a pilot as well?
Yeah, but you don't want to fly with him. He's crashed on the golf course.
Twice, right? I think he's crashed twice.
Maybe, I'm not sure. I know about one crash, and he actually landed on a taxiway at John Wayne Airport, not the runway, on a taxiway where planes taxi to get to the runway. He landed on the wrong part because I think Harrison's in his 70s, so I think maybe it's time for him to give it up, and you're making those kind of mistakes. But yeah, I just my private plane I just keep at LAX,
sure.
Or John Wayne.
Do John Wayne. That's a lot easier. Yeah, John Wayne's a lot easier.
So as far as what am I doing all summer? I'm a staycation type of guy. I just want to stay home. My job entails traveling. I'm not complaining at all because I love what I do. But after the season, I don't want to see another plane on airport until October, until I have to do it again.
I don't blame you, Michael. I don't blame you at all. Okay, let me, before I get into any NBA stuff, just I know you're a big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the passing of Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because for me growing up, it's kind of wild, but wrestling was as big as anything. I'm growing up and it's Andre the Giant and it's Hulk Hogan, it's Ric Flair, Bret the Hitman Hart. Kind of as popular. Hulk Hogan was as popular as any athlete. I mean, if you think about just his, and I'm just talking about obviously from a wrestling perspective, as well known of a name as any athlete out there.
Yeah, the movie Rocky really put him out there when he had that exhibition match in the movie Rocky. And all of a sudden, who's this giant guy? And obviously people in the wrestling industry knew, but that turned him into a crossover star. Now people start more aware of him when he got into the movie Rocky, this huge character. And you're right. I grew up in an era of wrestling, the 80s and the 90s. The 80s and the 90s wrestling era, to put it in terms where non-wrestling fans would understand, that era of the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, I would say, that was like the NBA. Today's current wrestling stars or wrestling industry is like the CBA. Now, people are still popular, people still go, but in the Hulk Hogan era, they were legends. They were great performers, great characters. They had incredible mic skills, ring presence, everything. Today's wrestlers, they are what we would call back in those days mid-carders today. guys who were like preliminary boxers compared to the main event. Even though today's wrestlers, you watch it on TV, arenas are still crowded, but the characters of today's wrestlers can't compare to people like Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ric Flair, The Rock, The Undertaker,
Bret the Hitman Hart. Yep.
Yeah. Was Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, man.
Michaels.
Those guys, those Triple H, those guys are legends because of the way they could perform. Today's wrestling, I mean, you have some characters in it, a little good, and I watched some of them, some storylines. But Hulk Hogan he is on the Mount Rushmore. We always do this Mount Rushmore of different sports or industries or businesses, and he definitely is on the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. For me, everybody's subjective. Everybody has their favorites, but for me, the greatest performance in the wrestling ring that I ever saw, as far as personalities and popularity and attractions, are Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Andre the Giant.
Got to have The Rock in there.
And no, even though I love The Rock, and you're right, if you put The Rock in there, you're not wrong. You're not crazy. But a lot of people would put The Rock in there. But my four are Flair, Andre the Giant, Hulk, and Dusty Rhodes. But if you want to put The Rock in there, you're not crazy. If you want to put Stone Cold in there, if you want to put The Undertaker, all those guys are deserving to be on anybody's Mount Rushmore. But for me, those are the four biggest historical figures in wrestling. Rhodes.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and Andre.
WrestleMania was like the Super Bowl back in the days.
Unbelievable.
They used to have those on those arenas outside. Yeah. It literally was the Super Bowl.
WrestleMania really burst onto the scene, and wrestling really took off, and Vince McMahon took over, bought up all the other wrestling factions from around the regions, combined it all, and then WrestleMania with Captain Lou Albano, Cyndi Lauper got involved in it, Liberace, Muhammad Ali, and also Hulk Hogan, Mr. T. All of a sudden, boom! It just exploded because of WrestleMania, and it just grew from there. And it's still big today. But to me, and I'm a big wrestling fan. I grew up since I was a little boy watching wrestling. Wahoo McDaniel and Jack Briscoe and all those guys. Anybody who follows wrestling history knows who I'm talking about. But it's still popular today. But it would be it's like Jordan and LeBron and Kobe and Steph and everybody's retired, and now we're watching a bunch of Jordan Goodwins wrestle. Sure. even though Goodwin's a good player, but it just, for me, it ain't the same.
Poor Jordan Goodwin, out of nowhere. I mean,
well, I mean,
so many players you could have gone with.
Now it's like watching Jared Vanderbilt wrestle instead of watching Kobe wrestle. Can I put it that way?
Poor Vando. I mean, somebody's got to take it. Somebody's got to take it. Yeah. No, I saw that.
There are different levels to everything, right? I mean, different levels.
Listen, I'll take a poor Jared or Vanderbilt contract. I'll take that one.
Exactly.
Still living good.
I mean, you have a podcast. There's Joe Rogan, and then there's a couple other people, and then everybody else is trying to get to Joe Rogan's level.
100%. All right, so when I saw that yesterday, I thought about you for a second. Just more from like a cultural perspective. That's as big as it gets, and it lasted for so many eras. Michael, what do you make of, obviously you're getting a perfect seat every game to see the Lakers, and we watched them lose in 5 against Minnesota. They go out and get DeAndre Ayton. They go out and get Marcus Smart. They get Jake LaRavia. I know DFS is gone. I think probably one of the best things that Pelinka has done this offseason is he still has all his assets. I think sometimes Lakers are so quick to just get rid of assets. You always feel like you're chasing sometimes almost your own tail. Just what do you make? What do you make of the offseason? What do you think of what they've done?
It all comes down to one guy. We all know what LeBron and Luka brings to the table. We know what Marcus Smart brings, toughness and defensive ability. It comes down to DeAndre Ayton and how bad he wants it. If he wants to be an all-star caliber center, he might not make the all-star team, but if he wants to play at that level, then the Lakers will be a serious threat to beat Oklahoma City next year. But if he comes in and he's just Mr. Ho-hum and putting up 12 and 8, 13 and 8, no, that's not good enough. But if DeAndre wants to take this game up to 20 points, 12 rebounds a game type of center, the Lakers could contend for a championship. 20 points, 12. That's easy. Think about it. That's only 3 rebounds a quarter. You can't give me that, Mr. 7-footer. 20 points. That's 5 points a quarter. How easy is that to do? And you should be able to do that every night at 27 years of age, coming into his prime. And also, of course, give me Give me one block shot a quarter. One. That's 4 blocks a game. That's what I want to see from him. That's I sat down with him during the pre-season meeting with my players. I said, this is what I require from you. I want 5 points a quarter from you, and I want 3 rebounds a quarter. I mean, come on. How easy is that to do? So if he wants to come in and dedicate himself to play at that level, then the Lakers could be a serious threat to anybody in the West.
You know, it's funny, Michael. I think the piece that you said, it's up to him. That's such a – it's not a question I usually want to associate with a player in regards to on his way out of Portland. And listen, the Portland situation, it is what it is. I think there's some franchises that are committed to winning, or maybe there's just a process. What level are they on? It takes steps in the NBA. Not everybody could compete for a championship. But, man, if you don't have full motivation this year, you're on an expiring contract. Yeah. You're only 26 years old, like you said, or maybe 27 by the time the year starts.
He had a birthday a few days ago, so he's 27 now.
Okay, so 27, and he's got – I mean, you want to talk about what's your future going to be for the next 3 or 4 years? Isn't it kind of based on this season with the Lakers?
Well, he's got a future. He's going to be in the league for another 10 years. But do you want to be in the league as a role player? And it sounds crazy to say this because you're – viewing audience right now listening to us, the numbers we throw out here are just unrealistic. It's just another world. If you want to make only $2 or $3 million a year, I mean, I don't think anyone wants to mind making that. Then it's up to you, Deandre. Or do you want to make $25 to $30 million a year? So if he wants to be just a role-playing center, he could play for another 10 years and make another $30 million over those 10 years. But do you want to make $200 million over these next 10 years? So it depends on how hard he plays, how well he plays, and he has the ability to make another $200 million if he shows up and plays up to his all-star capabilities, to prove to everybody why he was drafted number 1 in the draft in 2018, I believe it was. So it's all up to him, and he's made $170 million already. Obviously, hopefully he didn't throw his money away. He saved it, so he should be set for life financially. But if you want to make another $200 million, then prove it to us this year, because he has a 2-year deal. If he has a great season, he could opt out, and then the Lakers can sign him to a long-term deal at more of his talent value, which he definitely is capable of playing at.
What do you make of his actual game? Like when he's at his best, and we got a chance to see him in Phoenix when they had that finals run. You've always been high on him. Obviously, he's in the same draft class as Luka and Trae Young and some of these other players. When he's at his best, what is he?
He's a combination of David Robinson and Robert Parrish. You know, he can do it all. He can block shots, and he might not be as good as those two guys. Obviously, David Robinson is one of the greatest ever. Robert Parrish, a Hall of Famer. But he has that kind of skills on offense and defense. So it's just up to him to want to get that. He's got to get that Kevin Garnett type motor. If he can get that Kevin Garnett type motor, some people say that's just built in. You can't develop that. But maybe he can. Maybe putting on the Laker uniform is going to motivate him to play with that Kevin Garnett type intensity every night. If he brings that every night, he could be a combination of Robinson and Parrish.
Well, here's what's going to, I think, help. And you said it best. You said it comes down to one player. So if he's not going to be able to hide away from anything, you know, what his results are this year, there are going to be mics in front of him. Lakers are going to be in every probably 40-plus nationally televised games, because they usually are. If anyone's going to make your life easier, I think Luka, Luka's got a great opportunity to make you your next check. So if it's going to happen, I do agree with you, it's going to happen this year. But it's if you got a chance to sit in front of him, you always say this, and if you look at some of the comments, everybody's like, MT, talk to him. MT, talk to him. Is there anything you can tell? I mean, if he doesn't already know, is there anything you could change by the time you're 27 years old as an NBA player?
Yeah, I think so. I think if he's willing to change and understands the opportunity he has to be the Lakers center of the future, sees the name when he walks into crypto.com and sees Kareem's jersey up there, and Wilt's and Pau Gasol.
Sees you broadcasting.
That's right. And all the Bahamians now who are going to be following him because he is a Laker. The Lakers are the Bahamas' favorite team. I know they got the Miami Heat and the Celtics and Knicks. Some people pull for down there, but the Lakers are the Bahamas' favorite team. And now one of their native sons has a chance to put on a Laker uniform, the third Bahamian to do so after me and Rick Fox. And he understands now how much his popularity and is going to, and attention he's going to get going to go up in the Bahamas because he now is playing for the Lakers, one of the highest branded name in basketball, so profile in basketball. So if all that doesn't motivate him to want to make his countrymen proud, then there's nothing that can be done. But I think he will understand the enormous opportunity he has there and responsibility he has now being a Lakers center. And not just a Lakers center, because obviously Jackson Hayes was a Lakers center, so was Thomas Bryant. But this is a Lakers center with all-star caliber abilities, so he better play up to that ability.
Number 1 overall pick, so that should say everything as far as what his capability is. You know, you came on not too long after Lakers made the trade for Luka, and you were very blunt about what you thought about Luka's conditioning, his body, and everything else. Have you got a chance to see some of these photos of him in the offseason? And by the way, if you say yes, and I'm not impressed by it, because that's how he should be. I mean, you always emphasize how, you know, obviously how important that is for an athlete, for a player, whatever the case is. Kendrick Perkins said this a couple of days ago. I think Kendrick Perkins said he expects him to win the MVP this upcoming year. Just your take on some of the expectations for Luka this upcoming season.
Yeah, I want to see what he looks like in October when he reports to training camp. When JJ Redick said we need to get in better condition next year. I don't think
he's talking about LeBron.
Or Austin Reeves or Jared Vanderbilt or any of those, Rui Hachimura. All those guys are in shape. No. So he should just say, hey, Luka needs to get in Kobe Bryant shape. If you're going to be the face of the Lakers franchise, you got to be in shape like Magic was, like Kobe was, like LeBron has been. That's the expectations that's required of you if you're going to be the face of this franchise. And there's no sugarcoat it. You got to tell the guy face up, say, man, you got to lose 30 pounds. You got to be the Luka we saw when you were a rookie. When you look at Luka's rookie season in the videos, he was so much quicker, lighter on his feet, because he was about 30, 35 pounds lighter. And I would tell, if I was JJ Redick or on that coaching staff, I'd say, that's the Luka I want to see in October. No excuses. This is your job. This is your build. Your body is your building. This is where you do your business. So if you can't take care of where you work, if you don't keep your building clean and maintained, I expect to be a successful business. And your body is your business, like LeBron has shown, like Kobe showed, like Michael Jordan showed. These guys had 0% body fat when they played because they understood that this is how they're going to build their empire using their body. So why don't you respect that, Luka, and come into shape and play and be the player that we expect you to be? But you have to be in shape to do it. Just ask it. Was Kobe ever out of shape? Was Magic? No. Those guys came in and could run and play all day.
And that's, I think that comes from you. That's the expectations he walked into once he took over that's the face of the Lakers for the next X amount of years. And if the conversation is he in shape? Is he not in shape? It's like, all right, well, how is the conversation going to be about winning a championship if you're not in tip-top shape? So
inexcusable, man. Inexcusable. There's no reason for an athlete to be out of shape. This is how you make your money. And if you expect to see that check and that direct deposit every month or twice a month, then as an owner, I expect you to be in the best shape of your life.
What was it? One time you were giving me the example. You're like, imagine you kept mentioning the body as the business, and walking into a business, you own a business, and there's trash everywhere. It's a good analogy, right? Like you want people to come in as customers and be like, all right, this is the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Imagine if you were running a restaurant and your rating was a D or an F. Anybody's going to go in there and order any food? No, the rating's got to be an A for cleanliness and hygiene and for quality. So, and that's the same way you need to respect your body in the same way. When they look at you, you got to get an A grade, not a C grade or a D grade.
Mychal, I'm going to go back here to the NBA Finals here just for a quick second. You and I texted a couple times and kind of over that Pacers, their story. If Tyrese doesn't get injured in Game 7, are they winning Game 7 at OKC?
Yeah, they had a chance.
I think they're winning.
One game, anything could happen. As long as if Indiana could have kept it close in the fourth quarter within single digits, I mean, all of a sudden now the home team is starting to feel the pressure because you're in your home gym, your home arena, and you're expected to win that game. But if you are at that time, as Indiana Pacers came in and Halliburton, especially the way he started, oh my goodness, look how he's going off for 60 points. And if he would have stayed hot all game. I'm obviously not making every shot, but if he had a chance to get to in the 40s, yeah, they had a good chance to win that game.
But their record when he scores, a lot of times it's not he's not I'm putting up 35 a game. That's just not his game. But their record when he was putting up over 20, 25 points, they were almost unstoppable in the playoffs, just seeing what they did. We saw some of the changes around the Western Conference. The Rockets pick up Kevin Durant. The Nuggets trade Michael Porter Jr., right? And see some of the changes that they made. What do you, when you look at the Western Conference right now, what teams do you think you could take the Lakers out of the mix for now. We already talked about them. The teams that you think are the favorites, maybe some teams that you think are a little overrated. Just what do you make of some of the other teams in the Western Conference?
I think Houston's going to be in the mix now. They got KD. They got Durant, a guy who can finish the game for you. That's the problem for the Rockets against the Warriors. They didn't have a go-to player in the last minutes ahead. Go get us a winning bucket or a tying bucket. Kevin Durant can do that as well as anybody who's ever played this game in the history of the game. Even at 36 years of age, he's still capable of doing that. It's amazing. 26 points a game at 36, the way he's playing at such a high level. So they definitely improved by getting Kevin Durant. I think the Nuggets improved getting Cam Johnson. I think he'll be a more consistent scorer than Michael Porter was. Porter's a good shooter, but a lot of times he would disappear for stretches. I think they would get more out of Johnson. So I think Denver will be back. Dallas will be a threat as long as Kyrie can come back in March, maybe late February, March. If he comes back, if AD and their big guys stay healthy, Dallas is going to be a serious threat next year. And if Cooper Flag turns out to be Cooper flag turns out to be not a red flag, but a green flag, meaning go, 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 like an Indiana Pacer car started the race. If he turns out to be a green flag and not a red flag, Dallas would be a serious threat.
Yeah, okay. It's funny because I'm not really sure what to expect. Cooper Flag's walking into an interesting situation because it's a great situation, right? He's coming into, there's already talent there. There's veterans there. He can learn from these guys. They're in a position where they could compete in the Western Conference. My only question is just how does he, sometimes you got some of these draft picks that end up on bad teams and they could kind of do whatever they want. How do they use him this upcoming year? And what's that balance of this guy gets to learn in his first year in the league, but he's still only 18 years old. And how much is it of, let him properly just develop the way he's supposed to?
Yeah, they can use him as a combination of Scottie Pippen role, point forward, point small forward. He can handle the ball. He can be a playmaker. He showed that in the Vegas Summer League for a couple of games. He's really a good playmaker for his size. He can be a Karolinko type of guy on defense, very versatile. He can guard multiple positions. He doesn't have to come in and try to score 20 points a game. He'll have his moments, but if it's so many scorers around him, he can just sort of blend in, take his time, and in the background, sort of, even though he'll be the one picking everybody watching him, he doesn't have to carry a team. That takes a lot of weight off of his shoulders. He can just go out there and play basketball and show his versatility, and that's how the Mavericks will use him. Let him bring the ball to the floor sometime and be a playmaker. Let him guard the toughest guy on the wing. He can move his feet. He's long and athletic. He can run the floor. So he runs the floor like a James Worthy on the break. When he finishes at the rim, he can lead a break with his dribble like a Scottie Pippen. So he's a very versatile, very gifted player.
Now, am I right on this? You used to tell me that the most annoying fan base out there, I think, at one point you used to tell me were the Clippers. Is that accurate or no? Well, because we used to. Okay, maybe not. I think what you were saying is if they won a championship, they would be
one championship. They would be crowing as if they just won their 20th championship, and they'd be talking about the LA is now a Clipper town, over the Lakers.
I think that's maybe more accurate. Okay, with that in mind, they got 10, 11 guys, but they're old. And I'm not telling you that they can't have success. What do you make of kind of what they put together? Because on paper, they got players. The question is going to be, will they be healthy at the right time?
Yeah, that's the key. If they can be healthy in the playoffs, I mean, everybody's 100%. Even if they're a play-in team, they'll be a threat because they got smart guys who all can play. They all understand the game. And even though James Harden has his problems in the playoffs sometimes, they got Chris Paul, even at 40. This guy can still play. He played every game last year as a 39-year-old. People forget about it. He played all 82 games. No load management for Chris Paul. How about that? And coming back home, being around his kids, that's going to rejuvenate him and make him feel good. So the Clippers will be a threat if they can be healthy and in the playoffs or play in. Oh yeah, they're going to be tough to beat because those guys are all good players. And in the playoffs, you have time to rest between games because of the especially in the first round. So they'll be a threat if they can stay healthy.
Mychal, is this accurate or no? Can you help me understand? Do the Golden State Warriors not value Jonathan Kuminga the way they should, or do you think the way this is playing out is the right way to play it out?
Yeah, it's strange how they don't want to pay him $200 million over 5 years. That's the kind of money he's looking for, $40 million a year. They like him. They think he's a good player, but they're probably thinking at $20 million a year, not $40 million a year. And now these young fellas have this opinion of themselves that they're all worth $30 to $40 million a year. If they would offer him $35 million, he might have signed by now. But I think they would like to have him back, but at their price, not at his price. But yeah, he is a very talented player. He's still in his early 20s, so he's still learning the game. But you're right. I think they like him, but not at $40 million a year that he wants.
So how do does he just hold out? Is that it? I mean, he'll play, but then become an unrestricted free agent next year, or are they going to probably most likely just try to find some type of a sign and trade?
Yeah, if I was him, if this was my son, and obviously there's a big difference on what they want to pay, he can come back for about $8 million for a one-year deal, play it out, and then become unrestricted. That's his option if he doesn't want to sign a long-term deal or they do some kind of sign and trade. So if this was Clay or if he was Jonathan Thompson and he was going through this and he came to me and asked for advice, I would say, you know what? If they offering you $20 million a year for 4 years, so let's say an Austin Reeves type deal, 80-something million for 4 years, 20-something million, I would tell them to take it. I say, take that 80 to 90 million bucks. That's money now in the bank for you, after taxes, of course. Maybe put a option in there for the fourth year where it could be an opt-out. So, basically it's a 3-year deal at 60 million. This way it protects you financially in case something happens, and then take out an insurance policy for about 100 million or 50 million. The premium might be high, it might cost you $500,000 to pay for that for 1 year, but it's worth it because just in case you got a serious injury, you'll be protected. But I would say if they offer you 80 for 4, take it. And that takes him up to age 25, I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
And then real money if he's proven himself.
Obviously, if he's getting better, which I expect him to get better because he is a good, talented player, then at 25, you'll become unrestricted. And if you are as good as you think you are, oh my goodness, by that time, teams are going to have a lot of salary cap room and teams could really give you the $200 million he wants. So, but to get that financial base, and it's the 7th pick in the draft, he's probably already banked $30 million already. You always wonder, you say somebody's made 30, you always wonder, I wonder if he saved a lot of that or you went through it, you know what I mean, after taxes. So you already got sort of a little bit of a small financial base to protect yourself, to set you up for life. I don't know, honestly, if you made 30 million over 4 years, would you be set for life?
Oh,
think about that. Think about the money
Mychal, you buy 2 apartment buildings, you're done. That's it. There's nothing to do now. 2 apartment buildings paid off, get your property manager in there and go enjoy the rest of your life. That's it. You literally don't have to do anything else. That's it.
That's right. Yeah. And that's just the base. And if you stay healthy, you're going to get 10 times more. So but I don't know. It all depends on what kind of mindset. If he wants to just play out the season, but he's going to have a good year, and they're going to need him this year because they are an older team. Steph and Draymond and Jimmy Butler are all in their mid to late 30s. So they're going to need his energy whether he comes off the bench or whether he starts.
Yeah, he's only 22. So I think by the time next year starts, he'll be 23 years old. He's got, whether it's with the Warriors or not, I think money is going to be coming his way. Mychal, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your summer. We get a little bit closer to the season starting. Would love to have you back on. All right, buddy?
All right, we'll do it.
All right, Mychal. Thank you, man. All right. That is Mychal Thompson right there. Thank you, Mychal. Thank you, Mychal. Had a lot of fun with Mychal over the years doing the pregame and everything else. Mychal's a trip to me. Mychal, I will tell you that being somebody that was such a huge Laker fan, NBA fan, and then I eventually kind of found a way, obviously being a part of the broadcast and doing some of this stuff with Mychal was it was great. It was great. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. We'll start looking at what people got to say. Yeah, what's funny? It's weird to me. The Kuminga situation is just weird to me. I hear what Mychal's saying in regards to take that guaranteed money, but honestly, with Kuminga, for me, I'm playing out the rest of the season, and I'm just going to go sign somewhere where I know I'm going to get paid the proper money and I'm going to have a bigger role. I feel like he just has his role right now with the Golden State Warriors. It almost seems like they're holding him back. I know it sounds kind of a little bit crazy, but I feel like they're kind of holding him back, to be honest with everybody. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see. Get your kids in the NBA. Is that the advice? Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here, and then I still want to get into that should Marcus Smart start conversation. Yeah, Jonathan needs to get out of Golden State for sure. I feel like they're holding him back. It's kind of one of those things where the Golden State Warriors, and I understand it. Listen, it's been a good front office. They've had a lot of success. Steve Kerr is there. You got guys that have been there. And they're a little bit of, you have to draw within the lines. And if you draw outside of the lines, then you're going against our entire system. I almost feel like he's got to go excel somewhere else. How about his thoughts on DeAndre Ayton? How about his thoughts on, obviously on Luka Doncic, everything that he was saying about Luka, just the amount that Luka, at least on his own shoulders, from his body and his perspective, what he should be. So great stuff from MT. I appreciate him coming on. Okay, so let's keep things rolling here. I do want to talk about, like I mentioned, I want to spend a little bit of time on this Marcus Smart conversation. Should the Lakers start him? Should they not? What are some of the options? Before I do so, Lexus Santa Monica, LexusSantaMonica.com. They're promoting the 2025 all-electric Lexus RZ. All right, I'm going to put my sales hat on for a quick second here. I don't know what kind of car you drive. I have no idea what brand you have. I've been driving Lexus for 15 years, and I could tell you economically it makes sense. Dependability, it makes sense. Reliability, it makes sense. And from a cost perspective, yes, I'm not telling you Lexus is the cheapest brand out there, but I'm telling you Lexus makes sense long-term. I have 180,000 miles on my car. Like I said, for 15 years, I've been driving my car. I'm a little more strategic the way I do it. I've mentioned to you guys that across the street from Lexus Santa Monica, they own also their certified pre-owned Lexus across the street. They sell other cars as well, but predominantly Lexus. And I typically, when I buy a car that came back from a lease, it's 3 years old. The value of that car, obviously you're not buying it at top price when it's brand new. It comes down to a more reasonable level, and that's where I've come into play. I'm more frugal with my money. I try to be smart with my money, and I definitely have created, I think, a smart game plan with Lexus and Lexus Santa Monica. I'm going to put on here, I want you guys to know that you could reach out to the general manager / part owner of the dealership. His name is Matthew Unger at lacarguy.com. But Matt Unger, known him for about 10 years, he can help you. So if your a lease is coming to an end, you're thinking about a new car, you heard this ad read, and we're like, hey, you know what? Let me go try to see if I could talk to Matt Unger, see if he could help me. Send him an email. You could CC me on those emails as well. I'm happy to help in any way possible. But I'm telling you, from a perspective of what your next car should be, you got to consider Lexus, and you should consider LexusSantaMonica.com. So thank you for their partnership on the channel. I'm glad to have them a part of it. All right, let's take a look here. Let's hop on real quick on this Marcus Smart conversation. So I've had some people hit me up over these since Marcus Smart became a Laker, which is less than a week. Like, what do you think, Al? Starting lineup or not starting lineup? Well, let me first say this. I think for me, I'm always going to want, in any starting lineup, a little bit of balance. Do you have your superstars? Sure. Okay, you got Luka, you got LeBron. Do you have your size? Okay, you just got some size with DeAndre Ayton. Do you have a defensive presence? I think that's missing right now. If the starting lineup is the same starting lineup that we had last year, except you add Ayton. So then the conversation just kind of comes down to, if Marcus Smart is to start for the Lakers, all right, I think that's an interesting conversation. I don't have an issue with that. I don't know what Marcus Smart's going to be this upcoming year. I just still have in my mind the Marcus Smart that was a complete dog when he was in Boston. I enjoyed watching him play because of his style of basketball. So what's better for the Lakers, having Marcus Smart coming off the bench or having Marcus Smart a more defensive presence in the starting lineup? I don't have a problem having him start. I've heard some people figure, okay, well, if he comes to the starting lineup, well, whose spot would he take? I've heard the argument of him starting over Rui. I don't know how crazy I am about that. And if Rui Hachimura is still on this Lakers team, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, he is an asset for the Lakers. He's an expiring contract. I don't think Rui coming off the bench, you're going to get the best of Rui. I think you might get the best of Austin Reeves coming off the bench. I think I'm a little bit more on an island in this one. I don't think you need to start your 5 best players. I think you need to start your starting 5 needs to be the starting 5 that makes the most sense strategically, that players that complement each other. And then you could look off the bench, and off the bench, are you now getting somebody in like Austin Reeves that could put up 20 a game, 25 a game, 30 on any given night? And can he be going up against some of these other players and really go to work? Here's my issue with bringing Marcus Smart off the bench. I think you need a player like that to start games from a defensive presence perspective, because your backcourt already has Luka and Austin Reeves, and I think teams are going to feast on you on that. Okay, well, how about Rui? Why don't you have Marcus Smart start in place of Rui? Do you really have enough size there? Is that – I'm not comfortable with that. I'd rather have Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup. And I don't know how confident I am that Rui's going to come off the bench and be the player the Lakers need him to be. I think Rui, when he's playing his best, is because there's so much attention on LeBron. There's so much attention on Luka. And then hopefully some attention also this year because Ayton is there. So I've heard the chatter. I've heard the conversation. I've had people ask me, hey, what do you think of Marcus Smart in the starting lineup? And who would he start for? I talked about this last year. I wanted Dorian Finney-Smith in the starting lineup in place of Austin Reeves. The Lakers didn't do it, and it is what it is. Lakers' regular season ended strong, and we all know what happened in the postseason. I don't think it's Austin Reeves' fault. I don't think it's Dorian Finney-Smith's fault. I don't think it's anybody's fault. I just don't think the Lakers had the proper roster to compete. But this year, now that it feels like they'll have a roster that can definitely be more competitive, or a roster that just makes more sense, why not put Marcus Smart in the starting lineup? If he's healthy, he's good to go, and he has a good camp. And consider having Austin Reeves come off the bench, and let Austin Reeves just go to work when he comes off the bench. Still going to play 30 minutes a night. Still going to probably be in there towards the end of games. But I personally like that balance a little bit more. Let me read a couple of your comments, get what you guys think, and we'll go from there. I know it's still so early to think about that right now, and we got a long way to go. But I saw the article I saw a couple different times where the conversation was coming up, and we go from there. By the way, I hope people don't take this the wrong way. Make Austin the 6th man. That's not a bad thing. Like, I love how people, they start looking at Austin Reeves, and it's like people take that as a negative thing. Guys, we've all watched some of the greatest players, the greatest role players to ever play the game come off the bench. And, I could sit here and I could make an argument. I could say, okay, look at Lamar Odom when they were winning a couple championships. Look at Manu Ginobili. It's not uncommon to have really, really good players, all-star caliber players, come off the bench. I don't think that's something that's crazy here. All right, let's see what we got here. The biggest question, by the way, is going to be, is he healthy? And I'm talking about Marcus Smart, because if he's not healthy, then obviously it doesn't make any sense. And what is camp going to look like? And if camp, he looks like the Marcus Smart that we're accustomed to, I like that idea. Let's see what here. Smart can start, but he cannot play starter minutes. Completely fine. That's okay. Again, you don't have to put your best 5 players in to start a game. Now, you should have your best 5 players to close out a game. So at least, and that could kind of evolve. That could change. Really size. What does that matter? He plays like he's 6'3". Damn. That is a very accurate comment. I hate that comment because it's accurate. Yeah, listen, some people aren't as high as on Rui, and I'm not telling you that I'm high on Rui. What I'm telling you is I think Rui is more effective being around players that get more attention. And if all of a sudden you're asking Rui to be, a focal point coming off the bench, I'm not sure if that's the greatest game plan. And we know the Lakers are obviously going to have some depth issues as well. Let's see what we got here. Okay. I think we're going to start moving on to some of the other topics I got. So I got a couple here. Austin, Jake, and Vando is nice off the bench. I'm okay with that. Take our chances. And I think there is more, obviously, for the Lakers to do. So Jermail, Thank you for the super brother. I appreciate it. And we'll see what this roster is going to look like by the time, you get closer to training camp. Lakers could be completely done. For all I know, Pelinka's still out there making another move. What's crazy right now in the NBA is you got players like Jonathan Kuminga, Josh Giddey. There's a lot of restricted players that still hasn't figured anything out. Ben Simmons still has to make a decision. Then that will trigger what happens to Russell Westbrook. And I just mention all that is because free agency is not done. So that's the point of me mentioning that. Let's see. Good, serious. James, getting a lot of attention now. What's your take, Slee? He's been too old for a minute. I was talking a little bit about this. What was it yesterday? That whatever Jeff Teague said on that podcast, I don't think he explained it enough in regards to. And by the way, listen, do I think LeBron's on anything? No, I don't. But that's my own personal opinion, and I appreciate the super here. But Teague, I don't know what Teague was doing because he spent 30 seconds basically talking about how accusing LeBron of something. And then his post of just saying, guys, I was kidding. I was talking about how great he was. It was very awkward. It was very odd. And I mentioned that yesterday. It was yesterday, the day before, whenever it was. So yes, it had a little bit of steam, but I'll give LeBron the benefit of the doubt. The man has been doing what he's been doing for as long as he has. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, last couple things I got from NBA stories and NBA rumors, and then we're going to get into the weekend preview, and we'll call it a day. So I mentioned a couple things on Hoops Hype, or a couple rumors on Hoops Hype that I was reading before we got started here. Let me read something real quick on Jonathan Kuminga. A compromise for both sides, an executive suggested. $45 million over 2 years. Kuminga's a wing, so his floor should at least be the mid-level exception. So that's why he could risk a short-term deal or the qualifying offer. Kuminga is young, talented, has enough fans within the league to fill the bill. I've also seen some things about Jonathan Kuminga about a sign and trade. Basically, the latest was he's going to be very patient. He's not in a rush, and he's going to try to find the right deal for him. I don't blame him. I keep saying this. I don't think Jonathan Kuminga is being used properly in Golden State. And, I think he's better off playing out the final year and being an unrestricted free agent. Put the pressure on the Golden State Warriors, because right now I don't know if the Golden State Warriors just assumed everything would work out fine, but they've made no moves in the summer. I think they're the only team in the NBA to not make any moves on their roster. Remember, there were Al Horford rumors, all that stuff. All that is on hold. The Suns out of the Ben Simmons sweepstakes. So I saw this. Jake Fisher put this out. Sacramento and New York were the two teams that I was told back in Vegas were the top contenders for Ben Simmons and his two best options. But we've also been told that Boston and Phoenix are teams that have made contact with his camp and representation. So I guess right now it's down to two, probably Sacramento and New York. How the mighty have fallen with Ben Simmons. That one's a little bit crazy. I don't know if you guys saw this, Kevin Love. Kevin Love only wants to be in big markets like New York and LA. Jake Fisher again. So with Kevin Love, to my understanding, he really wants to be in the big glamour markets. I do think it would mostly be something along the lines of Kevin Love going to a New York or a Los Angeles type of situation. So we'll see if that can materialize for him. Do they need Kevin Love? I mean, right now, too, they're going to deal with issues from just a roster perspective. But I think for me, from my perspective, I don't think they need Kevin Love. I mean, probably a great locker room guy, but I don't know how much that guy is going to be able to help you at this point on the actual court. Okay, let's do a quick little weekend preview here. Give everyone a quick idea what to keep an eye on as far as the weekend goes. Of course, the weekend preview is presented by the Wallace firm. Go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa if you'd like a free consultation. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the team. Only real NBA or MLB weekend preview of actual stuff that's going to be going on this weekend. This is the time of year where it's just baseball. So we all know that. If you're a big baseball fan out there, a couple series that already started, couple series that are going on. Phillies and the Yankees. That's kind of a cool series. Two premier brands, two really good teams. Dodgers taking on the Red Sox. They still now have 4+ game lead on the division after my Padres have lost 3 games in a row and are definitely going in the wrong direction. Padres taking on the Cardinals. They're game 2 of a 4-game set. And if you're just looking at the NL West, The Mets and the Giants should be a fun series to watch as well. So that gives you a little bit of an idea what we have going on baseball wise over the weekend. Okay, I'm going to read a couple comments. We're going to call it a day, and we'll keep things moving. We'll call it a week in regards to that. Let's see what we got here. Kuminga, like Cam Thomas, only play one side of the court. That's not desired. I think Kuminga's not being used the way Jonathan Kuminga can fully be used. That's my personal opinion. And they need him. Just kind of think about that for a second. Mychal Thompson was talking about it. They're so much older. They need young blood in there. They definitely need him. Okay, let's get a couple more in here before we call it a day. Let's see what we got here. A couple stuff on Kevin Love. LeBron needs Kevin Love. Let's see. Clearly on it, KG. All right. Kuminga, Josh Giddey, Greaves, all looking for money for teams, but they are restricted. Yep. That's kind of the weird position for some of those players to be in. All right, my people, hey, I appreciate the week. Phenomenal week. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for hanging out all week. I appreciate everybody, whether the supers or just being a part of the chat. Thank you to all the guests for the week. Shout out to Mychal Thompson, our partners. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of the show. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Hope you guys have a great weekend. And I will see you on Monday morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.